Hey, a fitting start to tonight's episode. You run into a little bit of adversity and you pick it up, you handle it, you get through. Welcome to the podcast. It's just like the Iowa football season. The walk-ons, they ran into a block, really just me. Computer won't turn on, had to bring the MacBook down, completely set up all the audio equipment with the MacBook. Check. Here we are. You get the first down, you chip away. Eventually you score points. Hawks 15-13. Boys, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm great. You know, I'm actually fantastic, Kluber. Thank you for asking.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty damn good.
Okay. I mean, the boys are West champs.
Forever. Immortalized.
There will be no more. There's only one West champ to rule them all, and it's your Iowa Hawkeyes. That feels good.
Don't feel bad, man. Don't feel bad at all.
Kev, we've been in a similar situation. We clinched the West with one game to go, with a trip to Nebraska looming. For us, it was a little bit different. We had an undefeated season to play for. But nonetheless, here we are. Injuries all over the place. This team lost. They're starting. Call it.
Name a position.
Yeah. I was gonna call him I was gonna call Cade like the blockbuster transfer, right?
Okay.
Game what? 3?
4?
4.
5
4?
maybe?
5. Game 5.
Lost Luke Lachey, a potential top 3 round draft pick if he, the potential was there. All-American caliber tight end, game 3. Lost transfer tight end and blockbuster QB transfers, good friend and chemistry buddy that came over from Michigan. Cheaters, by the way. What game? Somewhere in the first half of the season.
Wisconsin was 7?
Something like that.
Was
6,
it Wisconsin?
7.
We lose Coop last week. Which, by the way, Kev, I think you were right. It certainly mattered.
It mattered.
Doesn't matter how good our defense is. It still mattered. And you know what? Mattered a lot in the kicking game.
I would say even more so in the kicking game, honestly.
We'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
Adversity all over the place. OC, everybody knows the deal, the bullshit that they've been through. And I don't say bullshit in I don't agree with
it's an outside force.
Yeah.
Disrupting your
external
program.
distraction.
Sure.
Yeah. And here
Not
they
to
are.
mention all the shit that they've caught from all the media, fans in their own stadium. It's actually astonishing the amount of adversity this team has come over. And I think that's why you hear it in KF's comments about this team all the time. He's like, I think he's genuinely just overcome with how proud he is of this team for staying tight and together, given all that's happened.
I think people hear that too, Kevin, and I think people overlook it. I think that especially at Iowa, because we have such a great staff who's very, very good at keeping the team together, keeping the team focused on the goal, block the outside noise out. The walk-ons were a part of that noise. I even felt a little guilty last night I felt a lot of things, Kev, as we all kind of text each other in the Benton chat as we watched that game end yesterday. A very small percentage of it for me was guilt, because I know that as much as we are trying to be for the team, as much as, and people will call us homers, people call us fucking, the Ferentz apologists, the we're too biased. We're too close to the program. We'll never criticize. We're still outside noise. That is what we are now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we add to the ecosystem of conversation outside of the program. And I think that.
What do you feel guilty about?
It's really
Anything
really
in
just
particular you said, or you think the brand has come out and said, or
no, nothing specific. Just the fact that, hey, we've talked about and said plenty on this podcast how, especially earlier in the season, specifically when we lost to Penn State, somewhere around there, we were just, we've been, I personally think we have been pretty darn fair and critical where we needed to be. And
I wouldn't say that any of our criticisms were invalid, though.
sure,
I don't think it's anything anybody on the inside of the program wouldn't be able to look in the mirror and say about themselves either.
I agree. However, us still being the former guys who ultimately, when it comes to a podcast, or I don't want to say it like it's the fucking KKK, but the Iowa Brotherhood. It just sounds, you say brotherhood nowadays, and people are in today's political landscape, they're gonna call us like the fucking Proud Boys. Or
I don't think anyone was thinking.
I was gonna say it wouldn't have remotely crossed my mind.
I promise.
Brotherhood. I would be like,
Maybe-
okay, football term. Cool.
Maybe not for you two, but I promise that for people out there listening, if I would have just said brotherhood, somebody, it's probably because I see the social media comments. They call like the inside of the program like some cult or something. I don't know. Regardless, the program comes first. I don't give a shit about this podcast. If it's the program or this, it's the program, right? And we don't have to come on here and criticize, even if it's fair. But we do. We evaluate the games. We give our opinions. And just watching Coach, and Grant, if you have the, because I don't have it pulled up now, if you have the pod document pulled up, watching Coach KF embrace Coach BF after the game, it's just like, fuck, man. Like, you're either on the inside or you're on the outside. We're on the outside, and the outside is what has given that external pressure and made this an emotional thing and all this stuff. So I just, it's a lot of emotions, wide range of emotions. I don't know if you could pull that video up, Grant. I don't think I've ever, and maybe it's just because you understand the situation and kind of what's happening there, because it is Brian's last game in Kinnick. But I don't think I've ever seen Kirk and Brian hug like that on the field. I've seen them hug and embrace and celebrate wins, but not with that much emotion,
Is this a record for post-game cries for Kirk in a season?
I mean, probably.
No, I like it though. I like seeing the emotions.
This was on the docket as well, kind of going off my own script here. But Kev, have you ever seen? Will you pull up the Phil Parker vid, Grant? Have you ever seen Phil cry like that? I don't remember.
Not on camera.
I've never seen him on camera cry like that.
No, not on camera. I mean, think about it. Like, those dudes have been together for 25 years now. Like, they've been through the entire history of the KF tenure at Iowa. They've built the program to what it is today. Obviously, off the heels of Hayden Fry, but they've turned Iowa football into what it is today. Those two men right there, and having taken all the shit along the way, Like that is a bond that those two have that you can't get anywhere else outside of just fighting every day to build a fantastic team of brothers who love each other and want to play football for each other. Like that's what you're seeing right there. It's guys that just respect the shit out of each other.
I mean, and you were, and it's not like, I mean, obviously Kirk cries all the time, emotional guy, dude that loves football to his core, and it's why he gets so emotional, and he is just because he cares about it. But I mean, Coach Parker on the other end of that cares just as much about football. I mean, he is up there on buy-in and what he's given to the pro, all of that as well with KF, like you just said. And though I wasn't in the, the DB or the defensive meeting room, Kevin has hundreds of hours more spent with that man than I do. In a team setting, I might only be able to remember him getting emotional like that in front of the team maybe one time, and I can't even tell you what it was for in our 5 years. But he got choked up. The audio wasn't playing there because it would have been a little bit loud and obnoxious. But he presents KF. I think he's just holding a helmet, but it's essentially like, hey, here's a game ball.
You give him a ball.
Was it a ball? With,
I don't know why he's holding a helmet in the first place, but he gave him a ball.
Okay. Yeah. And he's saying congrats to Coach Ferentz. He surpassed Bo Schembechler for, I believe it's third all time. He's now just behind Woody Hayes and
Joe Pa.
No.
It's not Joe Pa.
Alonzo Amos Stagg.
That's right, because Joe Pa's spent half his career not in the Big Ten. At Penn State, but not in the Big Ten.
Yeah. So 195 Big Ten wins. I believe Woody Hayes has 205, and then Stagg has 232. So
let's get the man up there. Come on, Kirk. We need a few more years out of you, man.
What do you play? Nine Big Ten games a year?
9 a year, yeah.
And KF on average wins 6 or 7 of those Big Ten games a year. Maybe 6. If you average it out. If you can win 6 a year, he's...
Yeah, it's a long ways away yet.
37. I mean, he'd still have to coach for another really, really good 6 years. You know? I don't think that's happening, probably. But he's damn close. He's going to pass Woody, assuming that his comments at the Hawk Talk 3 or 4 weeks ago after the Brian thing came out were true, and he's still...
What, that he doesn't get hit by a bus?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting, man, is I think a lot of people still see that as him just saying it to say it. Like, if you look online, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, he's just saying that to save face. He's definitely done after this year. And I'm like, dude, KF doesn't say stuff just to say stuff. Like,
no, that's definitely a KF quote. He's like, huh? When he said, he's like, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Yeah, I have no idea. It's like that's KF right there.
When he was with Dolph on the Hawk Talk the night after that, he's like, I'm gonna coach as long as I'm passionate about the game and the guys. So I'll probably stick around until they tell me to sit down. That's what he said. I'll probably stick around until they tell me to take a seat. I believe him. He doesn't say. And I also know that KF is the kind of guy who, the minute he retires anyway, assuming they don't just completely hire somebody from outside the coaching tree of him and all the connections that he has, like, he's going to be at the building every day. Like, there's no way the man's just hanging. I mean, he'll spend some time.
I don't know if you remember, like Norm Parker, our first year or so.
Yeah,
like he was around the building a lot. He had retired 2 years prior to that, I think, before we got there.
Yeah, no, 11.
Yeah, Norm Parker was in the building quite often still. And Coach Morgan, after he
still
retired,
there every day.
Spent a whole lot of time there. You get to this point where that's your life, right? It's like you spend, especially these coaches, are spending 18 hours a day in season in the building, right? It's like
Fuck.
they don't know anything else. Like, imagine, you remember how hard it was for us to transition from being an athlete to, guess what? You are just now a 23-year-old with, you got to go find a job and make your way out in the normal world.
I think we're still doing it.
Somehow. Imagine doing it for another 50 years and then there's nothing. It's hard for people to go away from what they know and what they love too, especially like that's a profession that you can, I mean, just look at the emotions you saw in the field in the locker room last night. Like that's something you can't find outside of that environment. I mean, you can go to other sports and find it, but you lose that once you walk away. You can't buy it, you can't find it, and it's an addicting emotion and feeling to be in a winning locker room at the end of a game and to be in a locker room that just sealed a division title. It's
well, that's
I've never done crack cocaine, but I can imagine it's better.
That is pretty close. We have
and so it's like it's not about the money anymore. It's like that is such a special environment with special people that you're around that you love to go and fight after a very special goal that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do. It's like, why would I ever leave this as long as I'm loving it, doing it well, and developing young men into the best versions of themselves.
Do you remember when guys would come in and say that line? You can't, like, you guys, obviously you and I both remember countless times, every single guy that comes in and speaks says something along the lines of, hey, cherish this now because when it's gone.
This is special, yeah.
But do you remember him specifically saying the line, like, you can't buy what you guys are experience and what you guys have for these next 4 years? And do you remember thinking anything about that or like really processing that at the time?
I do, yeah. I think that's why walking out of the pinstripe locker room for last time, damn, that was really the last time. Like, really hit me pretty hard. But man, it's an addicting feeling. It's not easy to just turn it off.
I remember we would sit in those honorary captain speeches on Fridays before a game, which shout out to Noah Shannon. They gave him the only guy to ever be on the team and be the honorary captain, and it forever will be that way. Don't love that that's how it came to be, but fucking love that that's what they did for him. And I want to know if he gave a speech on Friday. I have to.
You got to, right? You got to give a speech.
I would have to imagine he did. I would have been emotional during that as a teammate. Guys would come in the off season. We'd talk to guys at the networking night in the summer. We'd talk to, every once in a while we'd get a legend to come around practice.
And the crazy thing is, like, some of those guys, like big name legends, like they're eagerly like talking to you, like trying to almost relive their experiences through you, just hearing your stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we understand now, because if you get to go back to practice, you're like, I feel like I could, give me the pads, give me the helmet.
I still got a couple plays left in me. Come on.
You want to know what I told Lauren?
Hey, coach, you down a couple Leos. Let me go in for some blocks. I'll give him a look. Don't worry.
For some blocks. Oh shit. I don't remember why I told Lauren this the other day, but I think like an NFL guy got hurt last week or something, and I saw it, and then I had told Lauren about it, and I was like, babe, if I needed to, I could still do it.
What'd she say?
She's like, I don't know if she just wanted to end the conversation or if she's just being a great wife or if I think she really does believe in me because she saw me when I played and she sees me now and she knows that I'm much more like in shape now. But she was just like, I know you could. But it was probably just to end the conversation because she doesn't want to hear me talk. But yeah, I fully, yeah. But, those guys all come to practice and they are absolutely 100% dude, I mean, we would see them get you would see them almost get like out of body nervous again in front of the team because it takes them back to when they were a guy. And even though they're like, I'll never forget Adrian Claiborne in front of us. He could hardly speak. Like, he didn't have a lot to say. His speech was not long. And I think he's just that kind of guy in general. But you hear him say, like, you cannot buy what you guys have. I would do anything to come back and do it one more time. You literally, nowhere on earth, it does not matter what business you get into, what venture you get into, where you go in your professional life, you are not going to experience or feel the collective camaraderie, enjoyment, success, satisfaction of seeing work pay off that you do as you do right now when you're in a winning locker room. And even more so, you add on top of that, it being a division winning locker room, knowing that you just extended your season a game. You're going to meet the East opponent in 2 weeks. Fuck, man. And they're right.
For a chance to win the first Big Ten title at the school in 20 years.
And you said it for KF. You said it's not about the money, amongst other things. I mean, it's not been about the money for his entire career, because that's the kind of guy he is. For some guys, it certainly is. I think the financial compensation of a head, big time coaching job is great. And I'll get into, it being Brian's last game here.
Do you remember when he sorry to cut you off here,
No,
but
you're
do you
good.
remember when he talked about some of his time in the NFL, and like,
yeah,
when it kind of bothered him when he would see guys either after a win just like not be excited about it, or after a loss like just not affect them? He's like, pack up their shit, go home. He's like, he would say, like, when it's just about the money, you're not invested anymore, that's when it's time to hang it up.
Yeah. And he lives that 100%. I vividly remember him describing what guys would look like when they would lose a game and they'd walk out of there like people walk out of their job on Friday. Hey, we went to work. Sometimes you have a good day at work. Sometimes you have a bad day at work. It was work.
These guys, just didn't want to take it home with them. He's like, whatever. I'll take my game check and go.
Which in the NFL you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. But KF is a guy who's in it for the game. He's not in it for the check. He's made his money. Brian has also made his money, which is why I get, and it's probably good that Drake isn't here, because we're going to, this is Brian's last game in Kinnick. And it's not about the money for Brian either. And I fucking hate when the people online are like, oh, he'll be all right. He made $900,000 to be the worst at his job in the country. He'll be fine. He'll land. Like, it's not about that, dude. I sent a tweet out yesterday thanking Coach Brian Ferentz. There's a guy who takes pictures. I think his name is like he works for like On 3. He's the guy who takes pictures every game. He's at all the basketball games, all the football games. He takes great shots. And it was a shot of Kirk touching Niles' helmet, and then Brian coming through and touching Niles' helmet. And it was the first time that I kind of thought, oh shit. Like, I realized that Brian,
his last hawk walk too. Yeah, I didn't think about that either until I saw them saw like Brian get the Gatorade bath, and everyone came up and started hugging him. Like, I just realized, like, holy shit, that was the best game in Kinnick too. And
this is when I realized it pregame was this photo, and the Twitter account is web-centric.
Dennis, good guy.
Great I've never met him, but he takes phenomenal pictures. And he just tagged this one as the emotions were very high in the concourse after the hawk walk, and it's just Kirk touching the helmet, Brian touching the helmet. You zoom in on the Brian face, and you can tell that. I mean, I'm placing my own thoughts on this, but that's a face I think that you look at. I've seen them do the hawk walk before. I've watched the coaches. That face just looks like it maybe has a little bit more in it.
I mean, we can just roll it right into the senior day emotions, man. Like that's a senior touching the helmet for the last time right there. I remember our senior days. Like I took an extra half second with my hand on the helmet, knowing that was my last time doing that.
Well, and I wanted to kind of ask about that too, but you're right. This is Brian touching the helmet right here. This is a pseudo senior day, a second senior day for him, because, and I'm sure that this is not how he saw it going out. And maybe he never even thought about the last time he'd touched the helmet, right? I don't know if coaches think about that when they're on the staff. But he's given more to this program than most people.
Most people is like all except for like 5.
And maybe more than them, because he's been on the staff longer than as long as any of the coaches. I just think about his journey.
I mean, yeah, the guy loves Iowa football more than probably anybody else on that staff. I remember when he had to, kind of going back to like KF's thing about like losing not bothering you. I remember someone he ran into someone laughing on the tunnel up after losing to who did we lose to? It was 2014 game. I want to say is after we lost. It was a home game. I don't know.
2014 home games we lost were.
Doesn't matter.
Iowa State?
And he had to tear into him because this shit means something to him, right? And then you got some just jackasses like laughing, joking around like 30 seconds after the clock ticks to 0. Shit bothers you, right?
Should.
Like the guy's been invested wholeheartedly. Not invested, committed, dedicated. What's the saying? The chicken is invested in your breakfast. The hog is committed.
Yeah.
The guy's given his entire life to Iowa football for the last 25 years.
That's how far back I go. Because you think about Coach Ferentz coming here in 1999. Brian played from, I want to say 2002 to 2005, I believe was his career. So he came here as a high school freshman or a high school sophomore and went to Iowa City High, I think.
City High.
Graduated as his dad got this program off its feet. Got to then commit to play football for his dad, played 4 years for his dad on some incredible teams. And then runs I don't know where his playing days ended up. I don't think he had a ton of time in the NFL playing wise, but
couple years as a player before he wound up on the Patriots staff for a couple of years.
And then he ends up on the Patriots staff and makes his way through the coaching journey that he has. And gets it. And again, I understand that take away the person behind the role and the numbers, and the role probably needed to be refilled with somebody else. I understand that, but you take that away from him mid-year and then say, oh, by the way, it kind of feels like not even remotely close to the same magnitude. But when I got let go from the last job that I worked before I decided, hey, let's go all in on the podcast and my own personal coaching business online. I got told on a Friday, hey, we're letting you go. And then I was asked to work the next 2 weeks. Um, and that's really tough. And I was working for a fucking gym in Waukee. Now imagine, I was putting in 32 hours a week at this gym. Brian's put in decades of his life and the requirements in season, like you said, are 18 hours a day sometimes. And it comes out that he will no longer be with this program after the season. By the way, go get him for these last 6 games, right? And yeah, I was sitting there in celebrating my wife's birthday, and then we had Thanksgiving today with her relatives down in Nebraska. We were at a restaurant last night as the game wrapped up, and I see coach hugging coach. And I see the fucking guys so excited.
Happy for him. Happy for him to be able to go out that way.
Says a lot about him.
That your players are that excited for you? Yeah, absolutely.
And the ones specifically that were doing it. Deacon, the O-line. Yeah, I'm a bitch about this. But I mean,
Yeah, man.
It fucking hurts. I'll be honest.
It's a good hurt, though. Like, it's sad, but
I'm glad it went the way it did.
yeah.
One more game.
2 more, 3 more.
Well, one more in the regular season.
You want to recap the game that actually got played?
I do, and I want to, right before we do that, I had somebody, and this kind of just goes with, I mean, you kind of talked about it, but if we skip it now, it'll be another year before it's relevant. So, this person, Eric on Twitter, DM'd me and said, "Hey, Tyler, would really enjoy on the next Wash Up Walk-Ons hearing you and Kevin elaborate on the last walkout onto the field."
Oh, pain.
And then he also said, I turned to my brother before the last swarm and said, I wonder how much emotion is running through the team and the staff, knowing that this is Brian's last run out onto Kinnick as well. Obviously, we just kind of talked about that stuff, but personally, the senior day is weird all around.
Yeah, so you KF breaks it down, and usually the whole team follows out behind him for the hawk walk. And seniors, you just sit in the locker room for an extra 5 minutes. And that's, you take a moment, look around, maybe you give 1 or 2 of the guys a hug that you spent the last 4 or 5 years with, and realize that this is the last time that you're playing in Kinnick before you start making your way down the tunnel separately from the rest of the guys. The juniors lead the swarm out. Sometimes they have like the letter winners sometimes are in the tunnel. I remember running into Jordan Lomax was there at the game, and he's like, "Get ready, it's gonna hurt." I'm like, "You son of a bitch, I know."
And watching the juniors kind of lead it out is a bittersweet feeling as well. And then that next season, the first swarm, when they led them out again, and it was no longer kind of your team as a senior, was the same feeling. Yeah, it's really weird to watch the swarm crawl away from the tunnel and just watch the guy
part of it.
Yeah, watch the guys get smaller out to midfield and then stand there. And it's a happy sort of you're pregame, so you're running on juice, and you're about to be honored in a really cool way, individually in front of 70,000 people. That's really cool. But yeah, it does hurt. It hurts.
It hurts. And yeah, seeing all your I was at the back of the list, obviously, with the W.
Yeah, were you last? Or no, Welsh
Wiz was
last.
behind. Wiz and
Wiz.
Walsh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get to see all your buddies run out and then hear the crowd get super loud for each and every one of them. It's that's really awesome to see.
I caught some residual Josie Jewell cheers.
there you go.
I was right after him, so I just thought, hey, they're keeping it going for me.
They're keeping it going for me. I distinctly remember the line getting shorter and shorter. I'm like, wait, no, not yet. It's like you keep holding on for every last second, like you're not ready for it to be your last time running out.
I remember that too. You get closer and closer, and with each guy, it almost felt like they were giving you less time for each guy. And I remember just thinking, like, damn, like that's it, huh?
Yeah, and then I don't even remember running to midfield. I just remember meeting my parents, giving them a big hug, and then again, I'm at the end of the line. It's like 2 minutes later, I'm walking out to the coin toss.
Yeah,
it's like you gotta snap back in and refocus.
Yeah, that's wild. It's a wild day, and it's tough to kind of hone it in after that. Because like you said, now it's time to okay, put your helmet on and prepare, because, I mean, we need to have some car crashes happen now. I mean, you were on kickoff team.
Yeah. So, I was literally playing probably 4 minutes after my name got called. We were kicking off or receiving. I think we kicked off that game.
Pull that up, Grant, what you got there. I didn't get to actually see this. Tory might have got the loudest fucking cheer.
He absolutely did.
Of senior day of all time. Pretty cool. Gonna miss him. But by the way, after I said last week that they should go to Pro Kick Australia, literally the next day, they asked him what their plans were to try and replace Tory, and KF was like, we're working with some people from Pro Kick Australia.
I mean, why would you go anywhere else, right?
Seriously. But yeah, a tough day. So, those guys experienced that yesterday, and then there you are. And they're playing Illinois for their last game. We'll break it down a little bit. Under hits.
We were so close too.
Shouldn't have.
Really shouldn't have. Kevin and I were both kind of leaning on the this might be an over game.
Should have been.
Hit a field goal or two.
Field goal and an extra point would have done the goddamn job, you son of a bitch. What happened on the extra point? I just remember celebrating in this. I remember celebrating in the stands, and then all of a sudden we look over and it's like, the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I was sitting there at the table, and they're kind of just like, they actually had finally turned it on in the restaurant, and everyone wasn't paying attention. And I saw Caleb pop the run, and I go, oh, there we go, Hawks win. I was literally like, oh, Hawkeyes win. And then we miss the extra point, or it gets blocked. I guess it gets blocked. I couldn't see it. I couldn't tell.
I thought it got blocked.
I saw on Twitter that someone described it as being blocked, and I was like, motherfucker, are you serious? Like, is that going to be something that bites us here in a second?
I about shit a brick when I was, we're only up by 2 now. There's 5 minutes left in the game.
Oh,
okay.
and by the way, they've been slicing and dicing us for 10 to 15 yards with this receiver that they have all goddamn game. So for them to get in the field goal range, probably not going to be that difficult.
Yeah, the field goal kicker made a 52-yarder earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think there's a terrible protection issue. Did the ball just come out way too low?
I believe from my
correct me if I'm wrong. Extra point, that thing should be kicked sky high.
I mean, not sky high, but you're definitely not punching it like you're out at 50, right?
There
like,
should be no way that it gets blocked from the middle of the line.
And it did look low. It looked a little like he pulled it a little low and left, and then that brought it right into their arms. But damn, man. I don't know. Regardless, they got it done. Tory, who we just watched run out on the field there, was fantastic all day. Could have been even better if we had one downed at the one that should have been downed at the one.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity right there.
Gunner's got to have that. He was there, and
I think we actually lost the hidden yardage game.
Wouldn't doubt it, because when you get a safety and then you get the ball on your own 16, we fucked up there.
Ball's got to be caught there. That cost us at least 15, probably closer to 20, 25 yards right there. And if you'll remember, that is the drive that turns into a 54-yard field goal attempt. Long field goal attempt. And we missed, but it would have been a hell of a lot nicer to be 15 to 20 yards closer.
Was that the return where he had the sun in his eyes? Was it?
No.
Or it looked like it. No,
he was deep in the shade.
There's no sun on that part of the field. He let it bounce. It ricochets off his leg and bounces out of bounds.
And great kick by the Illinois guy in that situation. You're backed up to the 20-yard line. You have the choice to either hit a kickoff or a punt. Most guys are going to kick off. In college, in the league, they will often punt it because
they just have nukes for legs in the league.
Well, they have nukes for legs, but they also, you can get a lot more hang time on a punt than you can a kickoff. And you don't really want to give guys in the league that much space. We doubled the amount of penalties. Talking about hidden yardage, we had 6 penalties in this game for
70 yards.
For 70 yards, and like we talked about this, I think last week, where we're averaging about 3.1 per game, and we went and got 6. And I know a couple of those are questionable. One of them being, and I think I unfortunately agree with the call, but only because of the way it's written, and the way it's written is dumb.
No, it's a horseshit. It's a horseshit call.
Schulte.
Horseshit call.
That's not roughing the passer.
Horseshit call.
Like, what is the guy supposed to do?
Yeah, there's a difference between actually driving into the ground and just falling on top of him.
And falling on a guy. That's such a shitty call, man. And that was in a huge moment in the game.
Yeah, that they got 3 points out of that. That was a 3-point call right there. And that made us go down 4. And so, like, our offense not playing that great. Now you're needing a touchdown. It's big 3 points. I mean, especially when you're talking about Iowa, every single point is so crucial because we play at such fine margins this year. That was a terrible call, and Kinnick let the refs know that they were very displeased with the call. They had to come out with the announcer telling people not to throw shit on the field again. Yeah, not a great call. Don't like it. Can't do nothing about it.
And I think that tackle by Schulte, great play, kid. Great fucking play. And I'll let you guys decide. We can have a 3-man vote here. That's one of our nominations for collision of the game. Shout out to Premier Automotive. Hit a deer, call Premier or Jay Higgins. Naturally over the course of this season. Jay, not a candidate today. Schulte, And our guy Jennings Dunker, 14 protein shakes a day on a comeback block, blindside block, which I get is, again, it's in the rule books, but man, fuck. That's just like such a good football play. And like, I'm sad that that's a penalty.
Yeah, that one is like the way that they've written the rule is more clear cut.
Right.
Like I don't think we teach our punt return and kick return team like how to do like the side hip block. I don't think
your hands up. Yeah.
Throw your hands up. It's like I'm just like boxing you out like a basketball.
Right. Run in front of them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we've gotten around to teaching our offensive linemen that technique.
Clearly we haven't.
So he went in with the shoulder and the head, and that got called. And KF wanted a face mask on that play too.
Caleb Brown,
for an offsetting penalty at least. And we got the classic KF call timeout to yell at the refs,
which I
love you, KF, but we're already down 1 second half timeout. So that can bring us down to from 2-1. I'm like, it's like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, really would like that other timeout right about now.
I know.
KF wanted to voice his displeasure, and
when KF decides to use a timeout to bitch a ref out, I'm in on it all the time.
It's I think this is the third time that I can remember.
So, in your opinion, Grant, you can chime in as well. Is it Schulte's sack or is it Jennings just absolutely decleating this guy?
I thought it was Jennings and not even close. But as I love Quentin, like awesome play there. But I mean, Jennings sent that guy to a different dimension.
Yeah, he's feeling that one today.
He ripped the soul out of him.
There's that guy. I'm not sure who he is. Not sure what his position or number was. You could probably go back and find it. There's going to be a day. There's going to be several days when he talks about his playing days in college. Hey, I used to play football for Illinois when I was a youngster. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, what did you ever get? What was the hardest you ever got hit? And he's gonna talk about the day in November 2023 when an Iowa lineman removed him from the stadium because he got crunched. Absolutely. Our third nomination was actually the Joe Evans forced fumble, by the way, that turned into the safety.
Awesome.
Love that. But yeah, that Jennings Dunker penalty really just shot us in the dick on that drive because it would have been, the play didn't end out working up that great. Probably would have been like 2nd and 9 from like the 50 or so.
Yeah. But a whole lot worse when it's fucking first and
25 is.
There's no place for that.
I would say the average college football team converts that first down less than 5% of the time.
Yeah.
Definitely less than 10% of the time.
Yeah.
I love the improvement our offense is making. Might not always show it on the scoreboard, but we are still not the average college football offense.
No, we're not.
That completely blew that drive dead in the water.
Yeah. It was another tough day offensively. We got 281 yards. We actually did outgain them by a yard. Deacon had one of his better days, not saying a lot. He's had several days that weren't great, but he was 19 of 29. He threw a great touchdown to Addison Ostrenga in the back of the end zone for our first touchdown.
He's playing great, by the way. Like for filling in a huge role. He's doing outstanding.
G-Bone, we're tied in you.
It is crazy though, like how the deeper you go on the roster, it's like these guys. I mean,
they're next up, brother.
Oh yeah.
Addison Ostrenga is probably going to be playing for like the Panthers in 4 years, and we're going to have by that point we'll probably have like 1/3 of the starting NFL tight ends will all be Hawkeye.
I like.
We're already at Parker Hesse will still be playing tight ends.
Yeah, he'll still be filling in at fullback, tight end, H-back for the Falcons at that point. Don't want to pass over Joe Evans, by the way. He got us kicked off there 2-0. About the most Iowa start you could have on the scoreboard, just being up 2-0. Love that.
Started off with a great punt. Thank you, Tory
absolutely.
Taylor.
Absolutely. Tory,
Thank you
again,
for your service.
balling. Could you bring up the Joe Evans clip? Grant. Joe Evans, post game, talking about what it means to be a walk-on and what it means to be a team captain. And I believe he was also, I think the question that was asked was him deciding to come back this year.
Goal was to be a team captain, and I shared that with Coach Braithwaite. I shared that with my parents. I shared that with Coach Ferentz. And for me, that's earned and not given. And so being able to be a team captain and being able to, be a Big Ten West champion, feels so good. It feels so good. And like I said in the interviews, I think I said that being a team captain is my biggest accomplishment here and my biggest accomplishment of my life. And that's the damn truth. Just being able to be out there and lead the guys and, lead a team that's battled through so much adversity. Kind of just thinking to myself, like, I'm a walk-on. I'm not supposed to be here. And just this team's battled through so much. I've battled through so much. And just being able to lead them out on the field and lead them to a Big Ten West championship is something that, I'll be talking about for the rest of my life.
Kevin?
I mean, yeah. I can definitely relate to the don't feel like I belong here feeling, right? Especially early in your career, is like, they just kind of let me in here. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to give it my all, and
you're not even sure how.
I know I'm not built like some of those other guys that they brought in the door, actively tried to get there. But yeah, kid just showed up to work every day at a motor, and he said like his goal to be a captain. It was my goal just to earn the respect of my teammates every day, right? And that's where you get rewarded with is, unpopular guys who you maybe don't respect. They don't get elected captain, right? So
guys like Tyler.
Guys like Tyler Kluber. No, major respect to him.
In fact, how about
the idea that you could catch the ball?
Quite frankly, I was more worried about the throw than the catch. I felt pretty good about Kluber. He's a senior, and everybody wanted to kill Kluber his first year when he was on campus. Now everybody loves him, so he's really grown over 5 years now.
Didn't love me enough to let him captain, though.
Yeah. Is that the only KF soundbite you have with your name in it?
You could probably find another one or two,
okay.
But there's not many.
But shout out to Joe Evans for running the whole race and running better than anyone could have. Yeah,
very impressive. Tweeted this last week, but he was, and I don't know, he might and probably does, and rightfully so, think maybe less of us at this point. But when he was a young guy, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. I think it would have been 4 years ago because it was when we went to the summer family event, and this was before COVID. So he's a young guy, and he's from Ames. I'm from Marshalltown, so we're kind of close. I don't know what or why he felt the need to do this, but he walked up, because on the day they have that family event or that weekend, the guys, their catered meal is the catered meal for that event. They just kind of mesh it together. So you see some of the guys come in for their dinner on that Friday afternoon, and he came up to me and introduced himself to me for some reason and said that he loved the podcast and was like excited to meet me and shake my hand. And I was like, dude, you don't have to introduce yourself to me. Like, I know who you are. I'm like excited to watch you guys play, like all this stuff. And I had a feeling, you just get that feeling from a guy. He's a walk-on. I think at that point he had gotten a little bit of time on special teams. And
I think like by his second year, he was like in sub packages, just rushing the passer.
He might have already been. Yeah.
That's like when you're a walk-on and you're getting valuable pling time, too. Like, all right, this guy's a dude.
You just know. And that's the vibe that I got from him too. It doesn't surprise me in the least that this is where he is, and I hope that he is interested in coming on the show when I reach out to him after this season, because I think he'll be a fantastic interview, and I think that guys like him provide perspective and stories and passion similar to that you heard earlier in this episode, that a lot of guys don't, because they have a very unique and not very often walked path. So hopefully he comes on after the season. What else happened in this game?
We ran the ball effectively at times, not very effectively at other times, but
Yeah.
I will say the offensive line, I think, is genuinely much better than it was last year.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Even at the beginning of the season, the pass protection was really good. Outside of they had a couple pressures, back-to-back plays. I want to say second quarter, anyway. But pass protection I felt was really solid, and then had some really good run fits that allowed us, obviously, the touchdown run, and then converting on a 3rd and 8 when the whole world knows you're going to run because there's 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
that
was.
I as a person who bet the over, was like, oh, this is perfect. They're going to run the ball, run the clock down a little bit, kick a field goal, over hits, bada bang, bada boom. I'm good.
And we went and got the first down.
Me it out. I'm like, good for you guys. Good for you guys, you sons of bitches.
We'll go over the betting recap quickly at the end of this thing too. But yeah, it was that was really fun getting that 3rd and 8.
Yeah,
everybody
knows.
knows.
It was awesome to see Brian all jacked up about that too.
For sure. Defense played good. No Coop. Deshaun Lee, next man in. Kev, what'd you think about
honestly, I thought Deshaun Lee and Jamari Harris actually played really, really well. No, are they Cooper Dejean? No, but I thought Jamari Harris probably had his best game of the year. He had that one pass interference penalty, but and I thought Deshaun Lee stepped in really, really well. So kudos to those guys. I thought
made a couple great pass breakups.
Yep, couple good PBUs. Looks like they were always like no miscommunication errors. There, like looked like everything was running pretty seamlessly on the back end. I mean, and yeah, they we gave up some yards through the air, but they had a really good receiver. And honestly, I think that Paddock guy's a pretty solid quarterback.
I do too. I mean, him and that guy are on the same page, and they had actually 2 guys.
I'm surprised he wasn't. I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback. He was on the bench for all year until the very end of the Minnesota game.
Yeah, he can toss it, and his timing and his rhythm and his ball it's all very nice. Like that's a good quarterback, and they got a couple receivers that can get in and out of routes, and they're shifty, and they're good receivers, and they catch footballs, and they got us. I think their one guy had over 100 yards receiving.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And kind of the story of this game is that defense lets them get it. They let them get it. They let them get it. They let them get it. Here's okay. But the problem is when you got Tory and again, hidden yardage wasn't the best this game, but it was enough where you make him do enough long drives. You force a field goal or here or there. You get a turnover here or there. And don't break.
No turnovers in this game.
No turnovers.
Yeah.
Close several times. Very close several times.
Yeah, that's another thing we got to talk about. Some missed opportunities on the defense.
Gosh.
That could have really been game changers for us. We got to come down with those balls, boys. The DBs came out with the shirt a couple years back. It's like the ball is money. You don't drop money. Come on, boys.
Seabass let one go through his hands off his face, I think.
I know. Yeah, that was a bad one. We would have been set up pretty nicely there. But those are those are must execute opportunities. Like you
Yeah.
don't get you maybe get maybe two of those in a game. And they're
It's,
game changing plays. You gotta execute there.
And then the offense does what it does, right? We're not a great offensive team. They chip away, they chip away, they chip away. The defense sets us up. We get stops in their territory. We get good field position, chip away. And what do you know? When the game's on the line, Caleb Johnson, K2, breaks one open. And the way he runs, I don't understand biomechanically, Kevin. His upper body doesn't fucking move.
Smooth, man.
It's so smooth.
The fastest guys make it look effortless.
God, it's incredible.
He's got powerful strides, Caleb Johnson.
Powerful strides. There you
For
go.
sure.
But yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, the offense, not a great game, but similar to last game, we were at least moving the ball a little bit. It wasn't, I think we had 2-3 and outs. Unfortunately, there might have been back to back. But it's not like the defense is playing with their backs against the wall all game.
Right.
You know, there's a couple drop passes in there. But overall, like there's I mean, shit, it's game 11. I can't keep saying there's room to improve, but there's room to improve, right?
There is always room to improve. I mean, you never play a perfect game. Okay. Well, that brings us to a West Division championship.
Yeah. It's just, and you know what? Maybe I'll bring it back to like your thoughts of feeling guilty earlier about just doing this thing. It's like, you know, I come from the Phil Parker School of Psychology where you can always find something to improve on. So like my brain is like always like, okay, we could have done this better. We could have done this better. And maybe we don't give shout outs enough, but just shout out to this team for the grit and resiliency, just finding a way to win. 9 should be 10 times now, but shout out to them. Just yeah. Love to see. You can see the character of this team, and that's something as a former guy that you're just really proud to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the way these guys celebrated with Brian, with KF, with each other, the happiness, the energy that you could feel through the TV, the way they conduct themselves in interviews. I tend to think that KF will hold this year in a special place in his heart over maybe every other year that's ever happened in his 25, because of all the shit that's happened. And it's hard. It's impossible for Kevin and I to put it into words. We were a part of a specific team, the 2015 team, that was about as tight knit as you could be. And I can feel through the TV screen, through the social media content that they put out, this team is so together because of what they've gone through. I wouldn't doubt if on the inside they had they talked about it. They had a little fuck you mentality to the outside noise. And it was an inside joke. It was like, hey, it's us against the world. I would not doubt if they had some kind of moniker like that going on.
I mean, probably like you imagine you remember any other teams being booed in the middle of the fucking home games?
We might have caught 1 or 2 strays when our offense was struggling in 16 or 17, but not like this team.
Only ones I can remember, like we decided to knee it out before the end of the half.
Sure.
Fans didn't like that.
Right. Yeah. No, it's nothing like this. And as much as there's great people and pretty much everybody listening to this podcast, you're part of those great people. But man, there's a lot of fans out there who the way that you've treated some of the guys and the way that you've treated the coaching staff, with your online presence, and even your behavior in the stadium or stuff like that, it's wrong. Like, you guys are wrong. Not you guys, but they are wrong. And it's unfortunate because a lot of that emotion coming out of the coaches and the players is because they know some of the hate and shit on the outside that's happening. So, yeah. Hell of a year. We got one more. Nebraska jumped out to a crazy, like, commanding lead last night. I woke up and they lost the game in overtime. I was like, what the hell happened? They're playing Purdy's brother at quarterback. They are fighting for bowl eligibility against us on Friday. So they're going to be coming with everything they got. And the line is opened up at like 27.5 or 28, a new record again. We're going to get into our Betfred sponsored betting segment here, opening it up with that look ahead line there. Iowa -1 and an over under of 27.5.
Oh, I'm seeing even right now.
Even? I saw -1 at I can't remember where.
It's been all over the place. It'll move again more by the time we talk again about it.
Yeah. 27.5, Kev Dog.
I mean,
under.
That's an over if I've ever seen one.
No, this one's an under, man. This one's
I'm not gonna quit. I'm not
gonna quit.
I've been fighting so hard for these overs. And
Nebraska scores to throw the ball and they play good defense. This one's on the under again.
Yeah, I refuse to give up.
We'll talk about it next podcast, but let's get into our bets from this week. I guess I'll start us off being that I went 0-3.
Damn.
I had the over for the Iowa-Illinois game at 30.5. Yep, and we get to 28. I was feeling really good at halftime at 19.
Yeah.
The third quarter just kind of turned into the Big Ten West Punt Fest. We had 2 missed field goals and an extra point missed in the game, end up being the difference. Also, again, that converted third down late in the game where we otherwise would have kicked the field goal, would have gotten the job done for me. I feel like I made the right pick and it just didn't turn out right, you know?
That happens. You know, you just got to trust your gut, right?
Yep. And then we had the Michigan game, which Gary said was on upset alert.
Oh.
Good call, Gary.
Average, solid call, Gary. The Wolverines were up 23-3 early in this game, and I was feeling really good, and switch over to another game at the tailgate, and all of a sudden I switch back, and it's like a 5-point ball game or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe Michigan's starting to show a little cracks here. Maybe.
Huge game.
It's gonna be an awesome game to watch between them and Ohio State. Winner gets the chance to lose to Iowa and Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And then for the last game, I had the Nebraska-Wisconsin under at 37, and guess what? We go to overtime at 34 at 17 all.
Tough.
Had a chance to win this one in regulation. Nebraska needed a field goal on their last drive of the game to tie it up and send it to OT. I was hoping for Wisconsin to stop. We don't get it. They go to overtime at 34, and then Wisconsin scores a touchdown to go over. So I feel like I made 2 out of 3 good picks that don't cash, and one pick that was just the wrong pick.
So you didn't go 0-3, like you said.
Emotionally, he went.
I did go 0-3.
How did Nebraska, Wisconsin not go over?
I took the under.
Oh, wow, that's what that says. Oh, my apologies. my bad. All right.
That's what that says.
Right.
I was informed. Yeah, I'll go over mine quickly. Again, another 2 in 1 week. I think I've gone 2 in 1 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Navy, I knew nothing about this game. I told you guys I knew nothing about this game, other than I liked them -2.5. Grant told me that East Carolina was dog shit. Turns out
fired their coach today.
Turns out you're right. They scored 0 points. Navy only scored 10, but that is more than 2.5 points, so they cover. The Purdue Northwestern game was a Big Ten West matchup for the ages in the first half. Absolute dog turd of a game. They actually turned it up in the third and fourth quarters, but it was too little too late. They do not go over 46.5 in that one. I believe the total ended up at like 38. Tulane does get it done. Tulane wins 24-8, and they cover the 9.5 point spread. So Kluvdog is 2-1 on the week and improves to 20-16 on the season.
That's the first time Tulane's blown out someone in like 4 weeks too. They've been.
I wouldn't even call it a blowout, but
What
good
wasn't it
enough.
like? It's like 24-8, right, or something.
I mean, it's a 16-point win. I mean, it's
Like more than one score win.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's been a little bit for Tulane, but good to see. I like the Green Wave. I like
I do
seeing
too.
them succeed.
I don't like him as much as JMU, and we're gonna have to talk about that.
Can we just talk about that right now? Because I'm pretty. I haven't been this upset about a non like JMU's like it's not one of my teams. It's not the Broncos. It's not Iowa. I haven't been this upset about something like that in a long time.
I'll be honest, me either. They're our team. They're our secondary team, and they got upset by App State.
Yeah,
in overtime, I think.
Shout out! I mean, their family is so awesome though. Like especially with what's happening to them. Like their game day was awesome. Like that, you go look at the Georgia crowd the week before, and then JMU's crowd. Just unbelievable.
Yeah,
they should go to those group of 5 schools more often because the fans show out and really appreciate it when it does happen.
For sure.
No, they've been there. I think it's their 3rd time going there, and it's been awesome every single time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I can do my picks.
Break them down real quick.
So tough weekend for me. I went 1-2. Miami to start out the day, devastating. They were up. So first of all, we start off the game. There's like 12 people.
That was a back and forth game, wasn't it?
There's like 12 people in the stands to start the game. All right. So I'm already in trouble. You have a top 10 team coming into town. It is senior day, and there's 15 people at the game crushing.
So you know that Miami Stadium is like an hour away from their campus.
I don't care if it's 4 hours away. Right? I don't care if it's on the moon.
But they never get good home crowds.
You are Miami. You are like I mean I've seen it packed before. Like when they played Notre Dame like 3 years ago, turnover chain, or that was way more than 3 years ago now, but an awesome crowd then. Either way, that was disappointing. They're up like they have it the whole game, and then so it gets tied in the 4th quarter. Louisville's game-winning touchdown is scored because 2 defensive players ran into each other and knocked each other out, which led to a touchdown.
That's great.
I saw that. That looked painful too.
Brutal. Like, would they have scored eventually?
It's like if they were on a different teams, they both would have gotten called for blindside blocks. That's
it would have been targeting. They got it was
throw them both out of the game for targeting.
Is that the collision of the week?
That's what I was gonna text. I was gonna be like, I don't know if you saw this, but this was like it looked like they were headhunting each other, but they just crushed each other. Anyway, it lets them score. I'm like, that's horrible. Miami drives all the way down the field. They get and goal situation. They have crushed it running the whole time. They not only burn timeouts, but they also that they should not have burned, so that in case it didn't work, they could have gotten the ball back with timeouts. It didn't work anyway. They don't run it a single time. They have the worst plays ever. Like Cristobal in clutch time, he forgets what he's doing. I don't understand it. And then not only that, they get another chance. They get the ball back, still down a touchdown. They throw a Hail Mary and catch it. They caught the Hail Mary, but they were a yard short. And it was just unbelievable. Like every single chance Miami had to win this game, they like Vegas was trying so hard. The refs were like, please, Miami, please win the game. And they wouldn't do it. And then Tennessee, what a total disaster. I mean, that was just not even close the whole time. They had that first touchdown on like the first play of the game. I was like, we're in this, man. We got this easy. Knoxville's roaring. And then I think that was like the last good thing that happened the entire game. So
cool.
Georgia's peaking at the right time. They're playing their best ball right now.
No, they're playing really good. And then Wisconsin, I thought it was a total disaster. And then all of a sudden they came back and it was awesome. Overtime, super stressful too. Like having a bet of over 3.
Yeah, to cover an overtime by 4.5 is very hard, especially in college now, because you have two overtimes to cover that until it goes to the 2-point conversions, and you're dead in the water then.
Yeah, so it was super stressful when they got it done.
Yeah, so if Nebraska, it literally comes down to the coin toss. If Nebraska,
if Nebraska got the ball first, it's over.
Yeah, if Nebraska gets the ball first, you basically lose.
Yeah, no, it was the most stressful coin toss I've ever seen in my life. And I had this game, I had the quad box, right, that we talked about. Yes. I had the volume on Washington, Oregon State. So I couldn't hear what the coin toss results were. I just saw them. I saw just Mordecai.
You can change the volume, right? Which one?
Well, I did, but I mean, I was not to brag. We were working out a little bit. Had my hands full.
Well, working out. It was like 9:00 at night, bro.
I mean, hey, I gotta and it's one of those things where it's like, until Iowa plays, that's my day. It's either I'm thinking about it or watching it, and then after that, the rest of the day starts. Okay, awesome stuff there. And then also, again, they don't count towards the record, but bonus bets did pretty well this week. So, if you want to go back and listen, I did see someone on YouTube. I don't read those comments a lot. Was calling me crazy with Maryland. Said I was insane. Called it I think he said just outrageous pick. And what do you know? Ends up almost winning. If Talia just could not shoot himself in the foot for like three plays in a row, they maybe win that game.
Yeah. Shout out to Betfred. Download the Betfred Iowa app today, and you can jump in on the fun. You can bet our weekly picks. You can bet Gary's bonus picks. And maybe if you're a part of the Patreon, you can take Drake's UFC parlays as well, which are, I guess, part of this podcast and brand still somehow. Again, Betfred, Bonus King. Use the code WASHED, WASHED, at sign up, and you can get some bonus bets to kick off your betting experience on the app.
This is coming down to the wire here.
It is. It sets up a final week where Kevin technically still in it.
Everyone's in it. Still.
Final week, man. We got
that's true. Not final week.
We got a lot more weeks left.
We do have plenty of weeks, but there would be a regular season betting champ here.
There's a playoffs?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You come back on Thursday for the Thursday podcast. I don't know if I might be recording that one by myself. We're gonna have to figure out when we do that. There's a holiday this week that may interfere with recording times. We'll have to see. I'll have to check with the boys here. We will get something to you on maybe we'll even release it Wednesday, because if they're available, because the game is on Friday. Maybe it'll still come out on Thursday. Who knows? We'll go over Gary's top 25. We'll go over some other clips from the weekend that I saw. We'll preview the last matchup of the year. We'll have a bunch of fun. And if you're listening to this right now and you're somehow still here with us an hour and 15 minutes deep, if you're listening on Monday morning, right away, bright and early, you may still be able to get our merch. It's supposed to close down tonight at midnight as we record this, but you might be able to get there. AdCraftWebStores.com/WashedUpWalk-Ons Holiday 2023. That's all I have for you. Have a fantastic week. Bask in the glory that is a Big Ten West championship. We will see you on Thursday or sometime close to that. Until then, peace.